importantly for the US as a very joint nation. In the next two slides, I want to summarize my thoughts on the current debate. I think the issue really goes beyond the challenge of media monopoly. If you look at the history of the cable TV market in Taiwan, for many years already, the cable TV channels have only been in the hands of a few conglomerates. So in other words, prior to the controversy over the 1-1 group occurred, the media monopoly had already existed in Taiwan. However, the current controversy has risen, in my view, because it has really been intertwined with the debate of the rise of China and its potential impact on Taiwan's political and economic system. But this time, it is really done through the hand of Taiwan's richest man, Tsai Ing-wen, and his endeavor to try to acquire a lot of media outlets. Anyway, so it has especially involved the 1-1 group and the prospect of its domination of the public opinion in Taiwan. It has also triggered the fear that perhaps one day we will see the kind of PRC-style state media relationship in Taiwan. For those of you who know about the Southern Weekend event, the Nanbang Zhoumo controversy, you may want to think whether or not that kind of occurrence may be duplicated in the case of Taiwan. It has further raised the concerns that concentrated ownership control may distort public communication. Gary mentioned this earlier during his talk. So to contemplate our measures to curb the trend towards deepening media monopoly in Taiwan, I think we need to first depoliticize the ongoing debate. Now I want to jump to the solutions. When this same scholar tried to find remedies for the American case, he saw some hope. By 2003, he discovered that more than 100 older media reform groups had done a great job by using the digital technology to get their opinions heard. Besides, he discovered that there's emergence of a new group of young journalists in America trying to use the internet in order to produce news that go beyond, bypass the mainstream media, providing news not always found in mainstream media. In fact, we can find a recent case in Taiwan, which I will mention later. I think he also proposed some legal remedies. The first is the antitrust action against any industrial giantism. So hopefully the Fair Trade Commission in Taiwan can do a good job in the current case. Besides, he also devises a revision of pertinent law in the case of the US, making sure the FCC in the US can fulfill its primary obligation to protect the consumers of news media and to give communities a voice in the licensing process. Other remedies in the US case include the following. First is to urge institutions in a way to boycott the products from monopoly suppliers. Second is to take advantage of the digital commons by using the internet to spread information and ideas, which I think the Chinese can easily copy. Third one is to support the rise of more media reform groups. So what are the solutions that we can try to contemplate in the case of Taiwan? I've tried my best to summarize the 5 solutions, but I guess none of them can work alone. Perhaps it has to be a combination of all of them. And I have to admit that not all the solutions are easy ones. So I'll go through them very quickly. The first is the role of public media that Lydia mentioned earlier. According to James Curran, successful public service broadcasting systems come closest to embodying the liberal idea of informed, rational, inclusive public debate. The public TV station in Taiwan came to be in 1998, really under the same belief that such a station would really serve the needs of democracy before those of profit. By 2006, we saw the establishment of Taiwan Broadcasting System, which is a consortium of public TV stations, including Gongshi and also Hakka TV station or Aboriginal TV stations. So ideally, the public TV service in Taiwan really have a very important democratic function. That is to be the key venue for public affairs amid the dominant forces of market-based media. I think that we have reasons to be optimistic about the role of the public media in the case of Taiwan. For example, for many years, I think the public TV station has become a very important platform for presidential candidates to engage in live debates. And back in 2000, 2001, when the Chinese government wasn't sure what to do with the lifting of the semiconductor investment in mainland China, we also witnessed live debates involving players from the semiconductor industry, the government, and all those that were opposed of the opening decision. However, some of my friends who are still working in the media today have been relatively pessimistic. For example, they will tell me about the recent controversy over the board member selection, and some of them argue that the public TV station in Taiwan has become really politicized. The second consideration is the pursuit of media pluralism. We have to admit that it is a challenging task if we do see a very important trend towards media monopoly. But I think we need to be imaginative or innovative. You can actually do that by establishing some news media outlets on the internet. I want to focus on the second example, 上下游. So this is a very interesting news outlet which was founded in Taichung over a year ago. It focuses on news reports on agricultural and food security issues. In order to prepare for this seminar, I've talked to a lot of my friends who are still working as great journalists in Taiwan. So one of them pointed out the fact that recently there has been a scoop news, which was first disclosed by this internet news website, and then the mainstream media outlets actually followed suit. So this is a very, very good example to show that even though this group may not have a lot of money compared to Tsai Ing-wen, they perhaps can really do something positive for Taiwan's democratic development. However, I have to admit that I think these efforts really take time and considerably slowly to maintaining a pluralistic media environment. Besides, I urge those of you who are here to study in the UK, who presumably have very good English ability, to try to look beyond the Chinese news outlets. You can learn so much more about the world around you by reading news from different newspaper websites. So that's another way to try to pursue a kind of pluralism in your own personal intellectual growth. Third one is the role of the civil society. I was quite moved when I was watching the short film earlier. It's a fantastically made film. I think all these student-led street campaign activities in Taiwan or abroad have really demonstrated the power of the vibrant Chinese civil society in keeping the issue alive in the public domain. This, in a way, has been effectively reinforced by the students' efforts to try to use the social media such as Facebook and Twitter. I'm not young anymore, but I actually like to use Facebook, so I have really tracked down the ongoing discussions of this issue on Facebook, which I think is very useful. The next step, I think, can really be the consideration of closer cooperation with like-minded transnational media reform groups and press freedom advocacy groups, such as Reporter Without Borders, which is headquartered in Paris. So then you can look at the issue beyond the Chinese case in order to try to find some common solutions. I'll be quick. The legal solutions can be useful. However, the one that has recently been proposed by DPP has been vetoed by the KMT. I've talked to some of my friends who are still working in the media. They actually don't really think this proposal is the right one. They think the amendment is quite rough, and even if this amendment sails through the legislature, implementation can be a challenge. The NCC does propose that it should write a completely new anti-media draft by March. and also claims in a press release that if the next media case is presented for review by the NCC, it would abide by the rule of law. However, last year we had a fantastic Chinese student who came to give a fantastic talk about how NCC has become politicized and therefore not really functional very well. I'm not an expert in the study of NCC, but if Dr. Chen's research findings are viable, we have to wait and see to see if NCC can really deliver in this case. Finally, role of education. I think education can be done through many ways, but I think there are several things that we need to consider. We need to have more knowledge about these 4 domains: the role of media and democracy, especially the liberal theory of media. Besides, we need to understand the regime types versus state media relations. I think the current fear is we don't want to see the PRC-style state media relationship duplicated in the Chinese case. Besides, I think in order to understand the current development, it is also important to look at the history of Taiwan's media development. One of my editor-in-chief, when I worked as a journalist, used to work for the Dangwai magazine. So he used to tell us young reporters how they were, under the Big Brother's suppression. And so to understand more about this kind of history, we'll really try to help you put the current development into the historic perspective. Finally, I do want to say that we need to also consider the kind of long-term progress that Taiwan has made in terms of achieving press freedom. If you look at Freedom House report or the recent Reporter Without Borders report, the Chinese press still have some quite positive appraisal. So finally, I want to echo Gary's view and also Mia's view that I think the prospect of media monopoly in Taiwan can potentially threaten Taiwan's democracy. The remedies I've offered include 5 dimensions. But I also want to mention that the challenges facing the media today go beyond the issue of media monopoly. We need to be concerned about the dwindling pursuit of professionalism and also the trend of sensationalism. I think all these issues have to be taken into account for those who want to launch the next wave of media reforms in Taiwan. Thank you.